The Northeast Backcountry Discovery Route, my first BDR. It was challenging, breathtaking, and filled with lessons I'll carry into every ride from now on. In all honesty, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when Richard originally suggested the trip. In this video, I'm sharing what I learned tackling this iconic route. If you're new to the concept, a BDR or Backcountry Discovery Route is a multi-day adventure ride designed to take you through some of the most remote and scenic areas of the country. These routes, designed for dual sports and adventure bikes, combine challenging off-road terrain with breathtaking views. The Northeast BDR spans over 1,400 miles of trails, paved twisties, and gravel, making it one of the longest rides in the BDR series. In total, the ride crosses 7 states from New York to Maine. Preparation can make or break a BDR run, and I learned this the hard way. The original plan was to meet up with Richard at his home in upstate New York for what he called a chill ride around the Adirondacks, whatever that meant. Knowing Richard, I should have known better. After dinner and a few drinks, we decided to take off in the morning for Hancock, New York, to start the Northeast BDR from the very beginning. Packing light is essential, but so is having the right tools and gear. My KLR 650 was loaded with camping equipment, a basic toolkit, and the bare necessities to be on the road for a week. I also packed some extra power banks, a lifesaver for keeping electronics charged. One mistake I did make: underestimating the weather. A few more layers would have gone a long way for those cold, wet days. For food and water, I carried enough for a day and a half at a time. The route is remote in places, but for the most part, there are plenty of grocery stops and restaurants along the way. Planning, or in our case, lack of it, quickly became a recurring theme. Richard and I had no planned stops and only a vague idea of the route. All we knew was following the GPS would eventually lead us to Maine. One crucial lesson: use a reliable navigation system you're familiar with. A free app downloaded the night before on my Canadian cell with no service? Let's just say it wasn't ideal. Many nights ended when it got dark, camping on the side of the road or in a random field. On particularly wet days, we'd splurge on a motel to dry our gear. With better planning, and maybe a bigger budget, this trip could easily be luxurious, but for us, it was more like backpacking on motorcycles. I'd describe the Northeast BDR as a scenic off-road touring ride. Most of the time we floated through mountain passes or along flowing rivers, but every once in a while, we hit some legitimately tough tracks. Rock gardens, hill climbs, and plenty of mud. These challenges were amplified by our loaded bikes. My KLR 650 and Richard's CRF 250L Rally handled it all incredibly well. Both bikes carried gear with ease, were comfortable on roads and gravel, and excelled through the rougher sections. We were both glad we weren't riding larger adventure bikes on this trip. One of the biggest lessons I learned is to expect the unexpected. We dealt with chain tension issues, electrical and lighting problems, Richard's slipping clutch, and even some unexpected trail closures. Oh, and did I mention the rain? It rained a lot. There were moments of pure misery, soaked to the bone and shivering for hours on end, sometimes using the bike's exhaust to warm our hands. But those moments made the adventure more memorable. Flexibility and good company turned these challenges into some of the best stories of the trip. The beauty of a BDR isn't just completing the route. It's in the moments along the way. Stopping at a cafe to get out of the rain, cowboy camping on a mountain, relaxing in a motel hot tub after 300 miles. Those are the experiences that stick with you. It's about the journey and the stories you collect along the way. If you're planning your first BDR, here are a few tips. First, make sure your bike is up to the task. Do a full maintenance check before you go. It's also important to be on a bike you're familiar with and can fix on the side of the road. Pack smart. Less is more, but don't skimp on tools or extra clothing layers. And finally, Ride at your own pace. It's not a race, it's an adventure. Our trip took 7 days, but looking back, we wished we had taken an extra day or two to fully soak it all in. The Northeast BDR taught me more than I ever expected, about riding, resilience, and the joy of heading into the unknown. If you've ever thought about tackling a BDR, my advice is simple. Go for it. You won't regret it. And if you've already ridden one, let me know your top lessons in the comments below.